calling on the Archbishop to deny communion to Mikulski, and also to tell him, to ask for him to warn Barbara Mikulski that if she votes for child killing in this healthcare bill, that she will be denied communion. When calling on the bishops, many of them believe that the Catholics should not be presenting themselves to communion, and especially Archbishop O'Brien has said that if they support the killing of children by abortion. But we want the bishops to come out and say they may not receive communion. We want them to deny the politicians who are voting for the killing of children, especially right now in this healthcare debate, that they be denied communion. We want them to take a stronger stand. Now that it's come to not only the country allowing us to kill children legally, but now that the American Catholics are going to have to pay for murder, that we're really hoping that they break their silence right now and really speak up in defense of our nation, in defense of the babies of our nation, in defense of the faith. The scandal has to stop.
This is a 13 cathedral tour where every single bishop has a pro-abortion politician like Mikulski who is stridently opposing the teachings of the church but still receiving communion. We are begging them as faithful Catholics, stop this scandal. Stop this scandal. If we are forced to pay for murder with our own money, what will come of this? That's why we're begging the bishops, listen, rein these Catholic politicians in. Give the pastoral care that they need. It's one thing for the bishops to sit by while they're killing babies, but it's another thing for them to say, I'm not going to excommunicate you while you take my money. Think about it. Money is given to the church employs people with that money, and then the government takes that money to kill babies. And the archbishops are going to sit by and not withhold communion? This is insane. We need our bishops to be courageous and to make this a hill to die on. If they won't withhold communion over this, then what will they withhold it over?
We're here to call upon Bishop Rhodes to give a strong warning to Senator Casey that if he votes for child killing in this healthcare bill, that he will be denied Holy Communion.
Let us in battle, be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan and all evil spirits which are all about the world.
Senator Casey says he's pro-life, and sometimes he does vote pro-life, but he has disappointed his pro-life constituency here in Pennsylvania. And on this bill, he has said that he'll fight for a pro-life amendment, but he has not said that he would not vote for the bill if that amendment doesn't pass. We're telling the bishops, Archbishop Burke told the faithful, go to your bishops and demand that this scandal stop. We want the bishops to enforce Canon 915 to deny communion to pro-abortion politicians.
I'm Catholic, and we do have rubrics, and we have our magisterium teaches us that somebody that persists in grave sin should not receive the body and blood of our Lord in the Eucharist, because besides being a sacrilege against our Lord, it also brings condemnation upon the person. And he voted against having abortion legislation 3 times, but since it didn't pass, he wound up voting for the legislation with abortion in the bill. So his sincerity is definitely questionable. We really haven't been able to trust him to be sincere about any pro-life legislation. So, and he claims to be pro-life, so we really need to put some pressure on him and make sure that, he comes through.
Canon 915 is neither a punishment, nor is it a political thing. It is it's an act of pastoral love. Pure.
Casey's a very important voting member because his vote makes a big difference in this healthcare debate, as is a complete scandal for somebody who's in public sin voting for, if he votes for this bill and he supports child killing through this bill, that would be a very grave sin. And it's a sin against the Blessed Sacrament of the Eucharist. It's a sin against his own soul for him to be receiving communion if he does that. No, we are very committed to that. Well, this is between the bishop and Senator Casey, who has professed himself to be a Catholic. So if he is going to go to the Catholic Church and want to present himself to communion in the Catholic Church, then his actions in all of his life, whether they be private or in his work career, which is political, they have to be consistent with the Catholic faith.
I'm here to remind our beloved Cardinal Regali of the importance of exercising his full pastoral responsibility, specifically Canon 915. I think there's many politicians that need to learn about the separation that already exists. They need to understand what Jefferson was writing when he wrote to the Danbury Baptists way back when, just to assure them that we weren't going to have an Anglican state.
Your public actions are your private beliefs. What you do is what you believe. The circumstances don't determine a human's worth. So just because somebody might not be able to take care of themselves, you're drawing a line that doesn't really exist. If that person just needs time and shelter and nourishment, who are we to deny them that? I mean, that's all that a baby needs is time. So it's a similar argument, and people don't realize that it's the same argument that they used to enslave black people with. It's development. They're not as developed as we are, so it's okay to enslave them. Babies aren't as developed as we are. They're not really human, so we can kill them. Human life is important to protect, and we're calling on Catholics because the Catholic Church has already made statements that they are going to defend human life from conception forward. There's a point when he just needs to stand up and be a man. I mean, honestly, if he's taken the vow to be a cardinal. He's taken the vow to be an authority in the church, and he needs to carry out his vow.
Version of this diocese and for the defeat of this healthcare bill. I believe in God, the Father, the Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord.
Today we've come out here to protest, to also draw attention to the great scandal in our church. We're at St. Peter Cathedral in Wilmington, Delaware right now, and we're bringing attention to Bishop Malooly, begging him to take a strong stance against those politicians who claim to be Catholic, those politicians who routinely vote pro-death for child killing. There is the opinion out there among many bishops that this is cruelty and punishment. It is a political move on the part of bishops to withhold communion. And we are here today to remind our beloved bishops that this is not true, that it is it's a sacred discipline, as Archbishop Burke says, to be able to withhold communion from that sinner who is not aware of just how grave their sin is. The exercise of 915 is not a punishment, it's not political, it's pastoral love, pure pastoral love.